Okay, so this is a video about how to get started with the Tensor-Train Thermo-Field Dynamics plus Generalized Quantum Master Equation tutorial. So for this tutorial, all of the files that you'll need are included on this GitHub. Since you won't really need to be pushing to this, since it's a tutorial that you'll work with on your own, I'm going to show it by just doing the download of the zip file rather than any sort of cloning or forking. So we're going to start here by downloading the zip file of this GitHub repo. So it's going to download. Might take a moment because it's a decent size. We can watch it download. With this tutorial, there are two ways to do this. That you can either do the tutorial on Google Colab or you can do it on Jupyter Notebook. So it's just about preference, really, or if you don't have a Google Drive, then the Jupyter Notebook version is also available. But I'm going to start first by showing how to do it on Google Colab. So our zip drive downloaded, and we can see when we open up the zip, it has all the files and folders from the GitHub repo. So to start, I'm going to go to our Google Drive. So this is my Google Drive. I created a folder within the Google Drive just to keep it all in one place and not get confusing with any other files or folders that you have in your Google Drive. So we're going to start by copying over the Google Colab file into the Google Drive. And then along with that file, we need to copy over all of the folders that are in this one. You don't really need the license or README or the other file, but you do need all of the folders. So make sure to grab all of them and then copy them into the same folder where you have this file. So those have some example results in them, so they might take a little bit to download, but we can look at the tutorial file itself while we're waiting for them to download. The tutorial file is somewhat large, so it might take a second to open as it is here, and usually takes a little bit to process this math functions, but it should in a little bit. So this video is just about how to get started with the tutorial. In a follow-up one, I will talk about more of the introduction and the tutorial itself. But right now, we're going to jump to this section here to go over how to actually make sure you are connecting properly to your Google Drive. So we can click this. The first one, I'm going to get it going. The first thing we have to do is actually just mount onto the Google Drive. This can take a moment to really run, but it's going to ask if you want to connect to Google Drive, which you do, because this tutorial does need to both print files to your Google Drive and read them in order to do the graphing. It is a big tutorial, so it's difficult to do the whole thing in one sitting. So that's why we have it so it can print and read. So we're going to say yes to connecting to the Google Drive. You're going to choose your account that it's in and say allow. Okay. And then you can click the next one while it's running. They'll start running as soon as one's done. Okay, so it is mounted as it is. And then this one asks, where are we in the Google Drive? That's what this one is asking. And we're in the content folder, but that's not the folder where we actually put our tutorial file or all of those folders in. So what we need to do is change the current folder that this is mounted on to the actual path where we have all of our files and folders. So that's what this one is about. So if I go and look on mine, I can see that it has my drive, and then I have this folder, and this is where everything is in. So everyone's Google Drive should start with my drive here, unless you put it somewhere kind of strange, but it should really be in your My Drive. And then if you created a folder, this will be it. If you create it in a different folder, you need to make sure you put that path in as well. But for mine, I have my drive and then that folder, so this matches the path where my tutorial file and those folders are. We can run this, and now we can see that the folder name of where we are is the current working directory is the correct path. And then this is just a reminder that you do need the folders and subfolders that we copied over, but we can see that I have all of those folders mentioned. Yes. So then the next thing that it does is just installs and imports different libraries. Okay, this one, I'll talk about this some more actually with the Jupyter Notebook, but the tutorial does require this library called TTPY, a little bit different from some of the more known ones like NumPy or SciPy. So what it's going to do here is it's going to install that, but actually for now we don't really need it, so I'm gonna terminate that. But just to make sure your Google Drive is mounted correctly, one thing you can do is you can just load these libraries. You don't really need the TTPY. You won't really know what I'm doing yet, but it's just a double check. But then you'll need to do, you can run this subsection, which is just about a graphing, run 1.1, run the 1.1 section, and then you can also run the 1.5 section. And so right now there's nothing, but if your Google Drive is mounted correctly and you ran those 3 sections before, you should have this run, and it should output some graphs. Okay, yes, so right now you haven't done the tutorial, so you might not know what these graphs are, but the main thing is this is showing that the Google Drive got mounted correctly and it's able to read those example results that are included in. Okay, so to just sort of go over that, again, you have to go to this section to start, mount to your Google Drive, make sure the Google Drive has the correct path to where you have the files and folders. You have to make sure that you have this file. Well, that's what we're looking at, so if you didn't, that would be strange. But in the same place, you should have all of these folders. And then the way to check that everything was done correctly is to first run this one. So you import some of these libraries, then run 4.2 to have, this is a function for graphing, run 1.1, which is some constants, and 1.5, section 1.5. And if you do all of that, then you should get these graphs. And that will mean that you are ready to get going with the Google Colab one. You can go back to the beginning and look at the introduction and motivation. So that's the Google Colab version. If, however, you want to look at the Jupyter Notebook version, we can look at that one as well. So you'll need to have Jupyter Notebook installed on your computer, of course, which I do. So the first thing we need to do is go into the zip file that we downloaded from the GitHub, which is this one. And then, so yeah, we can see it's all here. So then we can do Jupyter Notebook to launch the Jupyter Notebook. So, okay. So here's our Jupyter Notebook. We're not going to do the Google Colab one, but the one without Google Colab. This is very similar to the Google Colab. It just doesn't have the part about connecting to the drive. And again, it's a big file, so it might take a moment to load. Here we are. Okay, so as we can see, for the example results, it's just example results. There's nothing here about connecting to the drive. However, the thing that's different another thing that's different is right here. So on the Google Drive, as we saw, there was this section about the Tensor-Train library. And in Google Drive, it will just do pip install and actually install it each time you run the tutorial. But on Jupyter Notebook, it's running on your computer, so you need to have it on your computer. I have it on my computer, so this is going to run without a problem because it can import it easily. But if you don't have it, you will have to install it on your computer from this GitHub repo, which is linked, as I just showed. It's linked right here. So you can reach it from there. But that is one thing that you will have to make sure you have with Jupyter Notebook, which isn't necessary with the Google Colab. Otherwise, works the same, has the same things, and since there's no like linking to mounting to your Google Drive, everything should work properly from here to make sure all the files are loading. Okay, so that was just a little bit of a run through on how to get started with the TT-TFD plus GQME tutorial, whether you're using Google Colab or you're using the Jupyter Notebook. So hope that helped and hope you enjoy the tutorial.